Bibles, if you would, Psalm 119. First, I'd like to read out of the Lamentations, chapter 3, verse 40. Let us search and try our ways and turn again to the Lord. And in Psalm 119 and verse 59, the psalmist here says, I thought on my ways and turned my feet unto thy testimonies. The psalmist says, I thought on my ways, he alone, me, myself, and I, thought on my ways. Thought would be to be dwelled or meditated upon his ways. I thought on my ways. I picture it in a quiet place, away from any outside interference, where you can examine or meditate upon his ways. I believe that's a example for us. Yeah. Get on and meditate upon our ways. My ways, he says, mine only. He didn't sit, ponder, and dwell on somebody else's actions or their ways. It was his ways, nobody else's. And I just see him there, quiet, getting alone in his closet in prayer. And I thought on my ways. These ways, these aren't the things that he's accomplished or he didn't think about, oh, look what I've got. I've got houses and cars. I've got chariots and horses and lands. No, I'm not. I've got accomplishments. I'm a statue. I got statue in the community. I got prosperity. Or he didn't sit there and tell my ways and what I don't have. No, I thought on my ways, his directions, his path, what's he taken, past and present. Yep. My ways. They consider what roads he's taken. What am I on? Which direction? There's motion and there's action. My manner, perhaps, in doing these things. My method. What are my goals? What am I trying to achieve? He thought, he just meditated upon what his ways are. Yeah. How about how I treat others? You know, my attitude. Not just yesterday. What about the past year or so? What's my attitude? What was it when I woke up this morning? What is it when I get to work versus when I get home? How I treat my wife or my children. You know, how am I as a husband or father? What manner of thinking do I have? Is it my way or the highway? You know, examine ourselves, looking at ourselves in a mirror. What goes through our minds? What goes through our hearts? Lord, I thought on my ways as if I'm alone and looking in a mirror. But can we truly look in a mirror and see ourselves like we had heard in the last week or so? Honest with yourself. Be honest. Be honest. Get alone. Be honest. Be lowly before God. Alone. He and I. You and him. Amen. Alone. For God is the light that will dwell on any darkness in our life, or on the darkness in our life. You know, the psalmist here, his ways, you know, he didn't sit there and say, yeah, all my ways are if they're the Lord. You know, we have many ways in our life. Our lives are just so complicated. Mine is so full. We have so many ways. And yes, there are ways that'll be revealed unto us that only God, you know, God knows all our ways. He knows everything. We're not hiding anything. But, you know, by getting alone and with him, because he is the light, He'll reveal something about ourselves we didn't know. Something that we've kind of hidden in ourselves in one of our ways. Perhaps how we're treating our spouses, or perhaps any of our ways. Something perhaps even in the church where He'll reveal it to us. It's been in the darkness. We've been either ignorant or just hiding it. We need to be honest. The psalmist was. The psalmist was honest. We see in verse 59 again, I thought on my ways and turned. And turned. He saw something. Many things made. Whichever ways he was going, he changed direction. Yep. He changed direction. He goes, I turned my feet. That means he was going in a direction. He's now going to something. And that something we read here is a holy, almighty, righteous God. He goes, I turned to thy. Holy God. That's interesting. When I was reading this, I'm like, okay, he's talking to someone. Who's thy? You go back to the beginning here in verse 57, he says, thou. Is he in prayer? Is he speaking with the Father? Thou. And then he goes, thy testimonies. So he's alone with the Lord. He turned whichever way he was going. He turned in the direction of going in the way of truth and knowledge. Amen. Towards righteous, holy God. The testimony of God is sure. The Word of God. The gospel which testifies of Jesus Christ. His commandments. All truth. All truth. Show me thy ways, O Lord. Teach me thy paths. He's saying, whatever you say, Lord. Whatever you say. Psalm 119, in the 29th verse, we read, thy testimonies are wonderful. Show me thy paths. Show me thy ways, O Lord. Show me. Teach me. And we notice here in verse 60, I made haste. When we truly come to ourselves, honestly, with God, we see our ways, we truly are. Turn, and we turn quickly. Because we can't. God be with us, God be in us, the Spirit. If we are in the sin and there's sin in our lives revealed and all this, we turn quickly because it grieves the Spirit. And the psalmist here, he turned. And he said in 60, I made haste and delayed not to keep thy commandments. So today, without hesitation, he turned. Today and every day, may we say, I will think on my ways. I will think on my ways. In Haggai, the first chapter, a couple of times we read, consider your ways. Consider your ways. And we'll close here in verse 9 of 119. Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed thereto according to the word. Amen.